I don't exactly know how to answer that, except that they could, I think they could find things to do if they really wanted to keep a little busier. I think they'd really be better off for it, you know, if, if they'd get together and invent things to do if they had to. I know that it's hard for kids to work nowadays, and they got more laws now too, that kids can't work as young as they used to. But personally, I couldn't see where it hurt any of us. We all learned, and our parents weren't they weren't mean or nothing. I mean, you worked, but you knew what to do and to do it. And I don't think it hurt us a bit. In fact, both of my kids, they even say, you know, that they like growing up on the farm, and you learn more. You just, it comes to you. But they've never caused us a bit of trouble. Our daughter's 51 and our son's 48. And they have never really, what you say, had a hard time getting jobs because they know how to work. You know, I can't remember in my life ever being without a job. Might have not have been what I liked or anything, but I still could have a job and make something. I've worked as janitors, I've worked at sugar factories.
You're still working, right? Bud still drives, you're still driving, tell me about that.
For the last 14 years, I've volunteered to haul patients to Cheyenne from Greeley at the VA hospital. It just all, you just volunteer all your time and everything, but I've done that now for 14 years. But I'm slacking off now. Really, my wife isn't in the best of health, and there's some days when I go up there, I'm gone all day. I leave at 6:30 in the morning, and I may not get home till 4 or 5 in the evening, and I don't like to leave her that long. But it's a service that we have for the vets, and some of them, they just went hard to get up there to the hospital. If it wasn't for the van. The DAV has a van that we run.
So you're still working, Bud?
Yeah, it's still
working.
Still working. Yeah. I don't do any fishing anymore, though,
No?
Steve.
You gotta come over to Windsor Lake. It's good fishing over there.
I think my fishing pole and my vest is down Alberts in
Right.
Albuquerque. I got that trailer down there.
Yeah. Well, that was great. Thank you, Bud, for another hour of very interesting chat.
Well, I think I got roped into this.
You did a great job. That's great. Thank you so much. Okay.
What all did you like?
Okay, so
the research that I did.
Right. Yeah. Let's first of all give us your name again and
Okay.
your research.
My name is Brittany Scritchfield, and pretty much what I found out before coming was that Weld County was big with the sugar beet industry, and that in turn led to a lot of people immigrating from Russia and Germany primarily, and evidently some Spanish workers were involved.
Yeah.
So I learned about that, and I guess now that I think about it, they also, like, when I did my research, they mentioned how the railroads were helpful in, like, transporting stuff initially, and then it switched to cars and automobiles and stuff like that.
Right.
So
Just
that's
like Bud was
pretty
talking
much-
about, in the days of his parents, all the beets were taken to the railroad, and now then when trucks came along, it was more efficient to do it that way. Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. And what did you learn from Bud about sort of the difficulty of life or the good side of life compared to maybe even how you live now?
Well, I guess from listening to what he was telling about his childhood and stuff, is that I think, like, people then had a better understanding of what it means to work and, like, have a job, whereas, like, I don't know, kids today don't really, like, have that kind of knowledge of that responsibility, and you know, I never really knew how much, like, how long it took to, like, harvest these crops and what kind of labor went into that. So that was really interesting to hear about that.
Well, very good. All right, your name is?
Brittany Pfiffner, and I actually didn't get to do too much research because my computer is being belligerent, but I did find out about the sugar beets,
Okay. Tell us
And-
about sugar beets.
just the fact that they grew them and that sort of thing.
Okay. You heard Bud today describing what was involved.
Yeah,
Okay. So pretty labor intensive.
yeah. You know, I just hearing him talk, it makes me realize how much things have changed in a short period of time, and that they managed to, even though they might have had to work harder, they managed to make the best of what they had and still have fun doing so. And I think that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Next.
Hi, my name is Diane Vandergiesen, and I did a little bit of research, and I'm really interested in, like, the horses. That's why I asked a few questions on that,
Mhm.
and the cattle. And I just learned that they were very centered on their animals. Like, they really relied on them for a lot of things, and I really find that interesting because today, I mean, where we live, we can just go to the store and pick up a steak or something, and
Mhm.
you don't really realize how much effort goes into that. Like, and then I looked at that, and I mean, I've helped out at a few farms,
Yeah.
working at
Yeah.
summer camp. We have horses and stuff,
Okay.
and I would help out, and it is so much work, but it's really rewarding, and that's why I really like talking to him, just seeing how rewarding it is, because it really does change you, just all that work that you put into something, like, you actually did it, and it's just amazing. So yeah.
Did you get the idea from the conversation with Bud that when you had to rely exclusively on horses
Yeah.
for all of your work and your transportation, and you know from your horse experience that that just the maintenance of horses
Yes, it's
is a huge job. The feeding
Yes,
of horses,
definitely.
what it takes, the logistics of keeping
cleaning up after them.
horses fed, and the amount of feed and all the rest that goes with horses.
Yeah.
It's a very, very big job. Right, Bud?
Definitely.
You had to harness them too.
And you had to harness them. That's right. There was a lot to do front and back. Right. Yes, sir.
Jeff Lewis. I did the same research pretty much she did. I discovered that Weld County was, I'm not from here, I'm from Seattle.
Mhm.
I discovered Weld County sort of reminds me a lot of where I grew up in Eastern Oregon, just the sort of lay of the land, the use of the land, and, you know, the beets and all that. It's the research I did, sort of.
And the concept of irrigation, when you grew up, was there irrigation, or was it rained constantly enough? Did you ever see irrigation? Is it?
Yeah, in Oregon, when I grew up in Oregon, there was
In
a lot
Oregon.
of row crops. They did onions and, what was the other one? I can't remember. Onions and something. And
Right.
There's irrigation along all the sides of the highways.
So how would you summarize the economy, I mean, the agricultural economy from what you know about this part of the world now?
In Weld County here?
Yeah,
Well, it seems like a lot of the income from people originated was from beets and, you know, the beets raising cattle. And, you know, they got all their money from the land pretty much, and a lot of that was dependent on the weather and the cost of living, cost of raising these crops.
right. Maybe what wasn't real clear, isn't clear yet is the relationship of capital to the farming economy. Bud can attest to this, that it would be financially, not only suicide, but impossible for most people now to invest enough money to get into the farming business,
Yes,
right?
that's
And,
true.
and the wisdom of just doing that would be pretty questionable, wouldn't you say?
Yes, it would be very questionable.
Because what would you have to do to get into agriculture these days?
Oh, Lord. I don't know, it'd just take
You'd
a
have to have the
small
land,
fortune.
you take a small
You'd have to
fortune.
have the land,
Mhm.
but here's another thing. The way they have it now, you've got to be a large operator
Mhm.
to make it pay. You know, right in our area, there's a couple fellas out there that, my Lord, they farm hundreds of acres, thousands.
Thousands of acres, yeah.
Yeah. I name two right off the top of my head. Harry Strohauer and Gary Alice.
Yeah.
You know, that they're wonderful operators, very efficient operators. But, gee whiz, it'd take a small fortune to get started. The equipment itself.
Yeah.
One combine, what would run 250?
$250,000 now for just a machine to cut grain. That's all. $250,000. So yeah, I mean, you really are, you know, what you're hearing about is a lifestyle and an economy that has, you know, the opinion, the general opinion now is that farming as we know it in the Front Range is substantially over. That it's not economically viable to continue because you're competing with the suburbs for the water. The land is more valuable as housing, and that other markets can produce food cheaper than you can here because of the water cost.
It's just, it's sad,
Yeah.
very sad the way it's going. It'd be awful hard to start a family operation,
Right.
really. Even milking, my Lord, it's nothing for them to milk 4,000 head of cows now at these dairies. You know, it's hard to visualize,
Mhm.
but it's mechanized so much. It's just, you know, it's,
Yeah, but
Well, I just think it's amazing that you can go from having such a strong, being like so dependent on agriculture for so long, and then just have it like die out so quickly. I just.
it's
I don't know.
frightening,
Yeah, it's.
you know? Yeah, it's, I hate to even think about it, what might happen, you know, because like you say, in just a few years, it's changing. Because agriculture is what's really made the towns around here to start with, the very
Mhm.
start.
yeah. Yeah, most of the towns were created for an economic reason.
That's true.
They were a point of connection between farmers and the market. And then, as a result, once you had farmers, they became customers, and they bought things, and they needed things. And the
Mhm.
towns grew up, the mercantile class grew up to support that. So we are, it's an enormous transition in Colorado
Mhm.
from that classic agricultural economy to the modern agricultural economy. Not to say that farming is going to go away, because there's still a
No.
lot of land and a lot of arable ground, but it's further to the east, and it will depend on whether there are even issues of self-sufficiency. We are concerned about being able to maintain our ability to produce food domestically. I mean, at some point, if there was no food grown in America and it was all grown elsewhere, then again, we would be vulnerable to foreign markets and all the rest of it. So as much as we'd like to keep agricultural going, it's still the economic question: is it viable? It has to be profitable to keep going.
That's true.
And that is the question that's really up in the air for this part of the world now. But there is a great and rich history of agriculture, and it made the civilization here. It made this college possible, and that's an important point, that this college and the Teachers College in Greeley, the Teachers College was built to supply school teachers to elementary and high schools. And the same thing with this college. It was founded on the idea that it was going to improve the agricultural capacity of Colorado and beyond, because they made the academic investment here to just try to keep up with the changing needs of the agricultural developments of Colorado. And so that's why you're not here, most of you, I don't suppose, are in ag science, unless one of you is a vet. Apart from that, you're not here to learn about agriculture per se as a way of life. But that's what this college was founded on. Okay, your turn. Your name, please.
I'm Emily Dixon,
Okay.
and with my research I learned about the very early history of Weld County, about how it's a very large county. It's larger than Rhode Island, and the person who first stumbled upon it, I forgot what his name was, but he insisted that it would never be good for agriculture or anything, and then obviously it was, and all of the farmers moved in, and I learned about the crops that they grew, the sugar beets, and what a great cash crop that was. So I learned a little bit about the schooling through my research too.
What did you find out about schools here?
Just that when the schoolhouse was recently built, all of the kids would balance their farm work with the schooling and walk to school and everything.
Yeah, so now what you read about is exactly what Buzz talked about today. That there were no school buses. If you wanted to go to school, you had to get there yourself. It was required you be self-sufficient and make your way to school. Any other questions? Brad, do you have any questions for any of these guys?
I guess not.
What are y'all majoring in? Let's just go around. What's your direction? Where are you going?
History teaching major. So.
History and teaching, or the teaching
Well,
of
it's
history?
like history, but like with a teaching concentration. So I'll get my license for
To teach what level?
Secondary education, so like middle school, high school.
Oh, you're brave. Okay.
I'm currently open option. I really don't have much of an idea of where I want to go yet.
Okay. Inklings, any?
Every time I turn around, there's something else that
Something there.
sounds really cool.
Okay. And you?
I'm majoring in natural resources management, so I want to work in national parks. I want to go to like different protected areas and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm doing.
All right, very good. You, sir?
I'm studying finance.
Finance, okay, all right. That's very useful. And you?
And I'm actually open option, but I'm looking into anthropology as my major.
Anthropology,
So.
very good. All right. All right, thank you all.
Good luck to all of you in your endeavors.
Just prop that door open if you would, please.
I wish I could tell more about the water, but it's complicated.
It's very complicated.
I'm gonna take a walk.
Yeah, sure, exactly. Yeah, I'll just load up here, Ben.